Does Islam need a caliph? No, but it needs strong Muslims, right? It needs you and I to be the best that we can be. That's what Islam needs, and that's how I want to end it.
The answer would be yes, Muslims can live under non-Muslim rule. Can actually look back at the time of the Prophet ﷺ where there was one particular incident. Rasulullah ﷺ made the decision that part of the Muslims would migrate to Habsha or Ethiopia, and they would live under the rule of the Ethiopian king, or famously known as Najashi.
Why was that instruction given? So back then it was Negus, right? Negus was a Christian, and he was known for fair treatment and justice while ruling his society. The idea is to look at the spirit of fairness and justice. Well, spirit of fairness and justice can be accomplished and can be applied by anyone, regardless of their political belief or religious belief, so long that a state or leader is able to provide that to serve the community in justice. That should actually achieve the real maqasid of Sharia itself.
So yes, the importance in Islam is not the faith of the ruler, not even the practice of the ruler. There's never been a requirement that says Muslims have to live under a practicing Muslim or even a Muslim. What is required is that Muslims can practice their faith. That's the requirement. What does practice your religion mean? It means three things. One, they have the freedom and the ability to pray. Two, fasting in Ramadan. Three is that they have the freedom to pay their zakat. So to summarize, the prayer, Ramadan and charity, if you notice, those things are all can be done privately. Fasting can be done privately, the prayer can be done privately, paying your zakat can be done privately. Nobody has to know who you're paying to, etc. If those freedoms exist, that's Islamic. That place is within Sharia compliance. Jummah would be an even better example, the Friday prayer. Other freedoms then make that place more and more and more and more and more and more enhanced, okay? But the basic requirement are those three. And as long as you have that, then you're in a place that allows for your growth and development as a Muslim, and you should contribute to the growth and development of that place.
Okay, caliphate, monarchy, democracy, socialism. These are all terms that we are familiar of. Now, it does not matter because it's not about the system. It's about the practice and the application. Whether it's democracy, whether it's monarchy, what have you, the idea is to preserve justice. The most important message here would be how to best serve the people who will live under your stewardship and to live in a harmonious way.
For democratic governance, what do you need? A couple of things when we think about democracy, and I'll be quick about this. You know, you think about elections, you have to have checks and balances. But there's one thing that really makes it democratic: rule of law. Not rule of a person, rule of law. When the law says something, you follow it. How is law made? Well, then you consult the people. That's where voting comes in. That's where elections come in. That's where representatives of parliament and congresses come in, and then they make laws. But respect for that law and following the rule of law, that's what makes it democratic. So you ask, is Islam democratic? Yes. Because number one, we of all people have amongst the greatest respect for rule of law. Right? But we understand law to be much more comprehensive than legal and illegal. And Sharia is multifaceted, not binary, legal and illegal. It's multi-valued, multifaceted. So our understanding of rule of law is much more sophisticated and diverse. It allows for more diversity. So in this sense, it's more democratic, in this sense. Second, checks and balances. Checks and balances is not a modern European phenomenon. Checks and balances has always existed in the Islamic legal system from its very beginning. The ulama, as a class, as a group, checked the sultan. And the people also checked the sultan as well through their representatives from the ulama. And the ulama understood they were guardians of the community, right? And the community gave support to the ulama. So in that sense, they were checks for the ulama as well. And we've always had separation of powers. So Islam is extremely democratic. Furthermore, the Quran tells the Muslim, told the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings be upon him, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ, consult with the people in matters. So consultative decision-making is a part of leadership, it's a part of democratic leadership, and it is a part of Islamic leadership as well. So consulting the people, which is voting and public referendums, and then also the leaders consulting the people and the people consulting different aspects of their community as well. Muslims consulting non-Muslims, people of religious faith background consulting people who are not religious, for example, about how to live. All of these things are part of society. This is extremely democratic in how Muslims have always existed.
All in all, whatever the model of governance that is being used, we pray that we, as a human being, are able to carry out our lives with peace, with harmony, and inshallah with prosperity.
Today we can see there are voices out there among Muslims who believe that caliph and caliphate is part of creed, is part of aqidah. So those who fail to practice caliphate, then there's a big question mark in their creed, in their aqidah, which is totally wrong.
Caliphate is a means, but if you can achieve the objective through a different means, it's fine. So what was the caliphate supposed to do? And what did the caliphate do historically? And let's see if today those objectives are met. Number one, oversee and maintain and ensure the maintenance of the pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina. Number two, the other task of the Khalifa is to ensure the protection of the roads so that when Muslims travel, their property is protected, their homes are protected, to secure the borders of the Muslim nation. Third, to ensure that zakat, the third pillar, the management of the financial resources from the Muslims, are distributed to the poor and needy and to those categories that they're supposed to be. To ensure that the law is followed, the rule of law. So, do Muslims need a Khalifa today? Well, if the answer, those things that I just mentioned are being met, then no. It was a historical reality, but in today's world, practically, those needs are met. And so if those needs are met, then and there is no obligation to begin with for the Khalifa to exist. There's no obligation. In other words, there's nothing in our theological or legal tradition that says if the Muslims don't have a Khalif, everybody's got to get together and decide who the Khalif will be. Otherwise, Muslims cannot exist, let alone coexist. That's not true.
But the more important question here is the leader that we have. Is the leader able to lead us towards progress? Is the leader able to lead us towards being better people? So, I mean, the terms might differ, the definitions might differ, but to move forward as a community is one that matters most.
Does Islam need a Khalif? No, but it needs strong Muslims. Right? It needs you and I to be the best that we can be. That's what Islam needs, and that's how I want to end.